In the heart of the vast savannah, there was a village surrounded by thick forests and flowing rivers. In this village lived a woman of unparalleled beauty named Nia. Her skin glowed like the golden sunset, her hair flowed like the river in the dry season, and her eyes sparkled with the mystery of the moonless night. From a young age, every man in the village admired her, but she remained elusive, never giving her heart to any suitor. It was said that Nia had appeared mysteriously in the village as a child, found wandering by the river. No one knew where she came from, but the village elders took her in and raised her as one of their own. Over the years, Nia grew to be kind and graceful, yet there was always something distant about her, as if she belonged to another world. As the years passed, a brave hunter named Okoye won Nia's affection. He was strong, wise, and generous, known for his ability to track the most dangerous beasts in the wilderness. The entire village celebrated when Nia and Okoye announced their engagement. The preparations for the wedding were grand, for this was a union that promised prosperity and harmony. On the night of the wedding, after the ceremonies had ended and the guests had danced under the stars, Okoye took Nia to their new home. The moon hung low, casting silver shadows over the earth. Inside the house, the air was thick with anticipation. Okoye, proud and eager, turned to his bride. But when he looked into her eyes, something was different. Nia's eyes had changed. The sparkle of the moon was gone, replaced by a deep, unsettling darkness. Okoye blinked, thinking it was a trick of the light. But when he looked again, he saw her skin shimmer, scales reflecting in the moonlight. Her beauty had not faded, but her form was shifting. Before his very eyes, Nia transformed into a great serpent, her body coiling and uncoiling with a grace both terrifying and mesmerizing. Her scales were a deep emerald green, and her eyes glowed like embers in the night. Okoye stumbled back, fear freezing his heart. He reached for his spear, but Nia, or the creature that was once Nia, spoke in a voice soft and sorrowful. "Do not fear me, my love. I am not what I seem, but I have never meant you harm." She revealed her secret. Nia was no ordinary woman, but a spirit of the river, bound to the form of a snake. Long ago, she had been cursed by an ancient sorcerer, and only love could free her from her reptilian form. For years, she had lived among humans, hiding her true nature, waiting for someone who would love her for who she was, not for what she appeared to be. "But now you know my truth," she said, her serpent form coiling around herself. "If you can accept me as I am, I will remain by your side, and I shall never harm you. But if you cannot, I will return to the river forever." Okoye stood frozen, torn between fear and the love he had felt for Nia. He had never imagined that his bride could harbor such a secret. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on his chest. Could he truly accept her as she was? But then he remembered all the moments they had shared, the laughter, the kindness, the love that had grown between them. Nia had never been anything but good to him, even if her true form was that of a serpent. Taking a deep breath, Okoye set down his spear. He approached Nia, kneeling before her. "I chose you because of your heart," he said. "Whether you are in the form of a woman or a snake, I still love you." With his words, the curse was lifted. The great serpent shed its skin, and Nia returned to her human form, more radiant than ever. The river spirits sang their songs of joy, and from that night on, Nia and Okoye lived together in harmony, their love stronger than any magic or curse. The village would come to tell the tale for generations of how Okoye married the woman who was once a snake, and how their love brought peace and prosperity to the land. For true love, they said, sees beyond what the eyes can behold. The tale of Nia and Okoye spread far beyond their village, carried on the winds to distant lands. People marveled at the strength of Okoye's heart and the depth of Nia's secret, and over time, their story became legend. As the years passed, Nia and Okoye were blessed with children. Their sons were brave and wise, and their daughters were as beautiful and mysterious as their mother. But there was something else, too, an unspoken gift that came from Nia's lineage. Their children had an innate connection to the natural world. They could call upon the rivers and understand the whispers of the wind. It was said that when they walked through the forests, even the wildest beasts bowed their heads in respect. One day, as their children played by the river, an old traveler visited the village. He was a griot, a keeper of stories, and he had heard rumors of Nia's tale. Sitting by the fire with Okoye, the griot spoke of ancient prophecies. There are stories older than the trees, the griot said, his voice low and knowing. They speak of a great union between a spirit of the river and a hunter. Their descendants will be guardians of the land, protectors of balance between the human world and the world of spirits. Okoye listened quietly, his eyes fixed on the dancing flames. He had long known that his love for Nia was no ordinary bond, but hearing the griot's words filled him with a deep sense of purpose. His family was meant for something greater. They were destined to preserve the harmony of the world. Nia, who sat beside him, placed her hand on his. "Our journey is far from over," she said softly. "The spirits watch over us, and they have plans for our children." The years continued to pass, and Nia and Okoye raised their family with wisdom and love. Their village prospered, and their children grew strong. But as the prophecy foretold, challenges soon came to test their strength. One season, during a terrible drought, the rivers began to dry, and the land withered. Crops failed, and animals fled deeper into the forests. The village elders gathered and pleaded with the spirits for rain, but the skies remained silent. Knowing that only Nia's bond with the river could save them, the villagers came to her, begging for help. Nia, now a mother and wise woman of the village, stepped forward, her eyes calm but filled with resolve. She had always known that one day she would need to return to the river to fulfill her destiny. Gathering her children, she led them to the banks of the river. There, she knelt and spoke in the ancient tongue of the water spirits, a language that had been passed down through her bloodline. As her voice filled the air, the wind stilled, and the waters of the river shimmered. Slowly, the river began to rise, its currents growing stronger. Clouds gathered overhead, and soon the long-awaited rains fell from the heavens. The land rejoiced, the drought broken by Nia's connection to the water spirits. The village was saved, and once again, Nia's true nature was revealed to the people. They no longer feared her power, but revered it, understanding that her gift was a blessing from the spirits. As Nia stood by the river, her children at her side, Okoye approached her. His love for her had never wavered, and in that moment, he saw the full scope of her destiny. "You are not just a woman," he said, his voice full of awe. "You are the bridge between two worlds." Nia smiled, her eyes reflecting the waters of the river. "We are all bridges, Okoye. Every one of us carries the spirit of the land and the love of our ancestors. Together, we will keep the balance." From that day forward, the children of Nia and Okoye became the guardians of the land, respected not only for their courage but for their deep understanding of the natural world. They were known as the children of the river, a family chosen by the spirits to protect the delicate balance between nature and humanity. And so, the tale of Nia and Okoye lived on, reminding all who heard it that love can transcend even the greatest of secrets, and that some bonds are forged not just in the heart, but in the spirit of the earth itself. As time passed, the reputation of the children of the river spread far and wide. They became known as peacemakers and healers, their unique connection to the land giving them the ability to resolve conflicts and restore harmony wherever they traveled. They understood the rhythms of nature, the whispers of the wind, the murmur of rivers, and the songs of animals, for they were part spirit, part human, destined to live between two worlds. One day, a great danger arose in the distant mountains. The land there had long been barren, and a powerful warlord named Benga sought to claim its limited resources for himself. His greed was endless, and his followers ravaged the forests and polluted the rivers in search of wealth. The trees were cut down, the animals hunted to near extinction, and the sacred waters of the rivers were diverted, leaving the land dry and lifeless. When word of this destruction reached Nia and Okoye, they knew the time had come for their family to act. Gathering their children, now grown and wise in the ways of both humans and spirits, they prepared to confront Benga. Their journey took them deep into the mountains, through forests that once thrived with life, but were now silent and barren. As they reached the warlord's encampment, the sight before them was worse than they had imagined. Benga's men were felling trees at an alarming rate, and the air was thick with smoke from fires that burned through what little vegetation remained. Rivers that had once flowed freely were now dammed, their waters diverted into pits of filth and decay. Nia stood at the edge of the camp, her heart heavy with sorrow. "This cannot continue," she said, her voice steady but filled with resolve. "The balance has been broken. If we do not stop him, the land will never recover." Okoye, standing beside her, tightened his grip on his spear. "We will stop him," he said, "but we must be careful. Benga's heart is filled with greed, and men like him do not easily surrender." Their children, skilled in the ways of the spirits, spread out to surround the camp. One by one, they whispered to the trees and called to the winds, asking the land itself for help. The spirits of the mountains, long dormant under Benga's oppression, stirred to life, eager to reclaim what had been taken from them. As night fell, the attack began. The winds howled through the camp, knocking down tents and scattering fires. The earth trembled, opening fissures in the ground that swallowed Benga's men. The rivers, once stagnant, surged with newfound strength, breaking through the dams and flooding the camp. Panic spread among Benga's forces as they were overtaken by the very land they had sought to conquer. In the midst of the chaos, Benga himself stood defiant. His eyes burned with fury as he watched his empire crumble around him. "Who dares to challenge me?" he roared, brandishing his sword. Nia stepped forward, her children and husband at her side. "I am Nia, of the children of the river," she said, her voice carrying the weight of the ancient spirits. "You have poisoned the land and broken the sacred balance. But now the spirits have returned to reclaim what is theirs." Benga laughed, though there was fear in his eyes. "You think your magic can defeat me? I have conquered nations. No spirit can stand against me." Nia's eyes narrowed, and the air around her seemed to shimmer with power. "You do not understand," she said. "It is not just the spirits you have angered, it is the land itself." At her command, the earth beneath Benga's feet began to crack, and from the fissures emerged a great serpent, the spirit of the river that had once flowed freely through the mountains. Its eyes glowed with ancient wisdom, and its scales shimmered with the colors of the deep water. Benga took a step back, fear finally overtaking him. "What is this?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "This is justice," Nia said, her voice as calm as the river's surface before a storm. With a roar, the serpent lunged at Benga, wrapping him in its powerful coils. The warlord struggled, but there was no escaping the grip of the ancient spirit. In moments, he was gone, swallowed by the earth itself. With Benga defeated, the destruction he had wrought began to heal. The spirits of the mountains, now freed from his oppression, worked alongside the children of the river to restore balance. The trees began to grow again, the rivers flowed clear and strong, and the animals returned to the forests. Nia and Okoye stood at the heart of the mountains, watching as the land they had fought to save was reborn. Their children, now leaders in their own right, guided the spirits in their work, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would never be repeated. As the sun set over the mountains, casting a golden light over the land, Nia turned to Okoye. "Our work is not finished," she said softly. "There will always be those who seek to harm the land, those who forget the balance." Okoye nodded, his hand resting on the hilt of his spear. "But we will always be here to remind them." And so, the children of the river continued their work, passing down their knowledge and their love for the land through the generations. They became guardians not just of their village, but of the world itself, forever protecting the fragile balance between humanity and nature. And their story, the tale of Nia and Okoye, of love, spirit, and sacrifice, was told for centuries, a reminder to all that the land is alive, and that it must be protected by those who understand its true power.